Okay, so our first question we've got is question number 1. And we've got Dungeons and Dragons Proprietary Limited is a very profitable small business. It has not, however, given much consideration to internal control. So we know we've got an internal control question. For example, in an attempt to keep the clerical and office expenses to a minimum, the jobs of cashier and bookkeeper have been combined. And as a result, Rob Roy handles the cash receipts, keeps the accounting records and prepares the monthly bank reconciliations. Okay, now we get some further information. The bank balance as per the bank statement on the 31st of May was a credit balance of $14,849.20. And in our ledger bank account, it was a debit of $10,949.00. So the comparison of the ledger and the bank statement revealed the following 7 facts. And then it's asked us to prepare a bank reconciliation statement. All right, so what we're looking at here is our facts. Now, what we need to determine is it an adjusting entry or is it a reconciling entry? So these are either adjusting or reconciling. So that's what we've got to sort of try and look at the moment. So an adjusting entry means I need to update, need to update my accounting records. And a reconciling item is like a timing difference. For the bank to catch up. Now, taking those two pieces of information, we now want to classify whether these are adjusting or reconciling. So, let's have a look. I'll just pull that into view. The statement includes a debit entry, so this is the bank statement, when we talk about the statement, includes a debit entry of $120 for printing of additional company materials, or printing a company cheque. So the bank's taken some money out of our account, so that means I'm going to have to adjust my general ledger to reflect that $120. We've got cash sales of $1672.30 on the 12th of May were deposited in the bank. The receipts journal and the deposit slip were incorrectly made out for $16.92. The bank credited Dungeons and Dragons for the correct amount. So when I look at my journal entry, it means I now have to adjust my journal entry to make sure I catch up. My next item is the unpresented cheques. So these cheques that we've issued have been unpresented and they total $2,552.50 and outstanding deposits of $1672.30. Obviously, this is a reconciling item because the bank has yet to include that information. So, and it'll only be a matter of time before it happens. On the 18th of May, Dungeons and Dragons issued a cheque number 1234 for $17.30 and incorrectly journalised. It was incorrectly journalised. Oh, hang on, missed a line. $17.30 by M. Long on account. The cheque was cleared in the bank in May and was incorrectly journalised by Dungeons and Dragons for this amount. So we need to make an adjustment again. A note of $6,000 receivable was collected by the bank for Dungeons and Dragons plus interest of $160. The bank charges the $40 collection fee. No interest has been accrued. So we need to, once again, the bank has told us we've got this $6,000 in here. We haven't recorded it yet, so we need to adjust. On the 31st of May, the bank statement showed a dishonoured cheque of $1,400 that had been issued by a customer to Dungeons and Dragons Proprietary Limited. Once again, we've obviously updated our records for that, but the bank has told us that the cheque was not honoured, so the customer didn't have the money in their account, so that's another adjusting item. And included in the cheques paid was a cheque issued by Spirit Limited to A. Hobbit for $1,200 that was incorrectly charged to Dungeons and Dragons Proprietary Limited by the bank. Okay, so that means that the bank has made an error there, and this is a reconciling item. So I've got to this point here. I've made my items reconciling or adjusting, and I'll just highlight my 2 reconciling items because we want to go through and do the adjusting items first. So let's have a look at my bank account. So this is my general ledger bank account. And it tells me up here that I had an opening balance or a balance of 10,949 before I needed to make these adjustments. So let's put my balance in there, 1049 balance. And let's go through with our adjustments. Okay, the statement included a debit entry of $120. Now the bank has taken that money out, so checks. So I'm going to reduce my ledger account by 120, and I can tick that one as being done. Cash sales of 1672 on the 12th of May were deposited. The receipts journal and deposit slip was incorrectly made for 1692. So I actually put too much sales in, so I've obviously too much debit. So I'm going to have to put a little bit of a credit in, taking out the error, sales error of $20. That's number 2 done. Number 3 is a reconciling item. I'll get to that in a minute. Number 4 is Dungeons & Dragons issued a check 1730, and it we incorrectly journalised it for $13.70. So the difference between there and there is $360. So let's just, and it's a payment, so we have to take the money out of the bank. So M Lung, an extra $360. Okay, so $360, that's fine. Now the bank's told us we've received $6,000, $6,160 less a $40 charge. So that means I'm going to have to increase my bank account. So I'm going to do this in one hit. 6120 was my note and interest. So my note and interest, and I can tick that one off as being done as well. The last one is on the 31st of May, the bank showed us dishonoured check. So we've put a check in the bank from a customer. So that would have increased my amount. So now it's dishonoured. So I have to decrease my amount by $1,400. So I'll put a dishonour here. Check 1400. Now that takes care of all my adjustments. So what I'm going to now try and do is find out a new balance, so that I need to reconcile to, because we still haven't reconciled. No. 10,949 plus 6,120 less 120 less 20 less 360 less 1400 equals 15,169, and you can see that out there on the screen. So I've got a balance here of 15,169. Oops. Now what I needed to do was go back a step. Let's have a look how much I should have. 949 plus 6120. We come back to 17,069. So that's my balance. So, but this is, and I'm going to highlight it, the amount that I'm looking for. All right, let's build our reconciliation now, because I've got the number that I'm going to reconcile back to. So it says prepare a bank reconciliation statement. So let's go about doing it. I'm just going to call it Dungeons and Dragons, Pty Ltd, for month ending 31st of the 5th, 16. And we always start with a balance as per bank statement. Balance as per bank statement, and the balance as per my bank statement was $14,849.20. Now I'm going to add a couple of things in, because I'm going to look at where are we? This is a reconciling item, so this will actually increase my bank account. So I'm going to put this one item in. So incorrect A Hobbit. Withdrawal. So now this is just a timing difference thing. So, and I can tick that one off as being done. And then we're looking at this one. So I've got unpresented checks, which will reduce my bank balance, and an outstanding deposit. So this is going to increase my bank balance. So add some outstanding deposits. Which comes in at 1672.30. Now I'm just going to get a total of that. 14,189.2 plus 1,200 plus 1672.3. So I've got 17061.50. And then I'm going to take out my unpresented checks. Actually, we'll just put a less in front of that. And my unpresented checks was, where was it? Here it is here. 255,250. So let's just deduct that one. Less 2552.5. Oops, equals 14,509. What have I done wrong there? Okay, let's add that up again. Okay, 14849.2 plus 1200 plus 1672.3. Here we go. That number's not right. It should be 17,721.50 less my 2552.5 equals 1569, which is the same as the figure that I was looking for earlier. So that one there. So we've now got a reconciliation, and that takes care of item number A. Now item number B says identify some principles of internal controls. Now we're back up the top here looking at some of this stuff here. So let's read it again. Dungeons & Dragons Proprietary Limited is a very profitable small business. It has not, however, given much consideration to internal controls. For example, in an attempt to keep clerical and office expenses to a minimum, the jobs of cashier and bookkeeper have been combined. Now that's probably where your internal control weakness is. So as a result, Rob Roy handles cash receipts, accounting records and prepares monthly bank reconciliations. So straight away, segregation of duties. It says identify the principle of internal control that has been violated and discuss the possible consequences. So segregation of duties is an issue. R. Roy handles cash, accounting records, and reconciliations. So this could lead to error or fraud. So that's the first one. Now the question's worth 3 marks. So if I was marking that, you'd get one for, or a mark there for that, and you get a half a mark for telling me error and a half a mark for telling me fraud. Or half a mark for each one of those, I should say. And the second one is, we're looking for independent internal verification. Internal verification. R. Roy is the only person dealing with records. We'll call it accounting records. So this could lead to, once again, error or fraud. So once again, half a mark there, half a mark there, half a mark there. So I hope that helps.